The lawyer cleared his throat, unfolded the final page of my mother's will, and my sister's confident smile collapsed into a scream that echoed off the oak-paneled walls. Just seconds earlier, she thought she had won everything. None of us were ready for what that single clause was about to do to our family. Before I continue, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from, because this story is a reminder that money doesn't just reveal character, it detonates it. My mother, Eleanor, was a woman who believed in silence. She didn't argue loudly, didn't threaten, didn't warn. She watched, she remembered, and she planned. When she passed away, the grief felt heavy but manageable, until the will reading turned it into something sharp and suffocating. My sister Claire sat across from me in the lawyer's office, legs crossed, black dress perfectly pressed, eyes already calculating. We hadn't been close for years. Claire had always been my mother's favorite, or at least that's how it looked from the outside. She lived in the big house my mother bought, drove the car my mother leased, and never missed a chance to remind me that Mom needed her. On the other hand was the practical one, the distant one, the one who moved out early and learned to survive without handouts. When the lawyer announced that my mother had left Claire $15 million, the room seemed to tilt. Claire gasped, then laughed through tears, pressing a hand to her mouth like she couldn't believe her luck. She looked at me with something close to pity, as if to say this was always how it was meant to be. I didn't feel jealous, not exactly. I felt numb. $15 million was more than I could comprehend, but what hurt was the confirmation of what I had always feared, that my mother had loved her more. The lawyer held up a hand and said, "Before any assets are transferred, there is a condition." Claire rolled her eyes, still smiling. "Fine, whatever paperwork," she said. That's when the lawyer read the clause. Claire was to receive every cent of the $15 million only if she fulfilled a single requirement. She had to personally care for my mother. As chosen beneficiaries for 5 years, without delegation, without paid help, without transferring responsibility. Those beneficiaries were not charities or foundations. They were people. My mother's 3 former caregivers, women Claire had fired, insulted, and blamed whenever my mother's health declined. The room went silent as the meeting sank in. The lawyer continued, explaining that if Claire failed even once, the entire inheritance would be redirected to a trust, managed in my name, to be distributed according to my discretion. Claire's face drained of color. "That's not real," she whispered. She wouldn't do that, but she had. I remembered those caregivers, Maria, who worked nights and brought homemade soup, Lila, who held my mother's hand during chemo, Ruth, who cried quietly when she was dismissed without warning because Claire said she didn't like her attitude. My mother had seen everything. Claire stood up so fast her chair scraped backward. "This is a joke," she shouted. "You can't expect me to wipe their noses for 5 years." The lawyer's voice stayed calm. "It is legally binding." Claire turned to me, eyes blazing. "You knew about this." I shook my head because I truly hadn't, but in that moment, something shifted between us. For the first time, I wasn't the lesser child. I was the contingency. Claire stormed out, heels slamming like gunshots. In the weeks that followed, she tried everything. She offered me money to switch roles, tried to hire lawyers to contest the clause, even went public with stories about how our mother had been manipulated. Nothing worked. The clause was airtight. Eventually, the money began to call louder than her pride. She showed up at Maria's small apartment, designer bag on her shoulder, forced smile trembling. I watched from a distance, legally required to monitor compliance. Claire struggled in ways she never had before. She complained about smells, schedules, medications. She snapped at women who had given my mother more compassion than she ever had. Slowly, the reality crushed her. Caring is exhausting. It demands humility. And humility was something Claire had never learned. 6 months in, she missed an overnight shift. Just one. She sent a replacement, thinking it wouldn't matter. It did. The lawyer called me the next morning. The clause had been violated. The 15 million was now under my control. When I told Claire, she didn't scream this time. She sank to the floor and sobbed, mascara streaking down her face, whispering that it wasn't fair. I didn't feel victorious. I felt something closer to peace. I used the trust the way my mother would have wanted. I ensured Maria, Lila, and Ruth were comfortable for life. I donated to caregiver support programs. I kept my own life modest. Claire stopped speaking to me. Sometimes I wonder if she ever understood the lesson. My mother didn't leave her $15 million because she loved her more. She left it to teach her something she never could while alive. That love is shown in how you treat those who can give you nothing in return. And if you're still here listening, remember this story the next time you think inheritance is about money. Sometimes it's about accountability.